Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right. Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being here with us again. We are going to have a great program for you, but isn't that what I always say? Yes, that's what I always say. Yvette Avery, good afternoon to all. She says, Nanette Bird Smith, hi, y'all. And of course, Bruce Pollard, we be here today. I like the way you say that, Bruce. We be here today. Yes, you are here, and thank you so kindly for being here with us today. We have a great program set up for you today. If you are on YouTube, please remember, go ahead and give us that thumbs up. Make sure that we get that algorithm flying. Make sure it's doing its thing. We need that to get our numbers, our live numbers up. Our podcast numbers are great. I started to look at it through Chrome. What is it? Anchor.fm is where we are now hosting our podcast, and it started to really go through the roof over the last few days. I don't know what happened, which I love what happened, but hey. That's great. Let's see. Bruce says, when did you leave Panama? What is your memory of Colin Powell? Okay, I left Panama in 1989. And, no, I'm sorry, 1979, when I went to Blinn College and then off to the University of Texas at Austin. As far as Colin Powell, I have a love-hate relation with Colin. Two bad things, but I love the man as his character. I love his persistence. All of that I love about him. The only thing I remember a long time ago, back in 1989, when Panama was invaded by the United States, I remembered Colin Powell offhandedly. And I don't remember on what program or where I heard him say that, but it's when Bush invaded Panama. And all the dead Panamanians, remember, America says there are 1,000 dead Panamanians. The UN says there are 4,000 dead Panamanians. But we know based on where the bombs fell and where they blew up in David, Colon, and Panama City, that there are over 10,000 people likely killed in Panama by the unscrupulous bombing, the testing of the stealth fighter, and all these things on our people in Panama. And I remember on a conversation hearing Colin Powell call us collateral damage. And that really pierced the heart when it said collateral damage when we're talking about human being. Anyhow, when it comes to Iraq, I was disappointed that he allowed them to snow him and make, on the Second Iraq War, make that case in front of the UN. I hated that, but all in all, as far as positive versus negative, we're not all perfect. I always loved what the guy represented because, again, remember, he works for America, so and he works for a president, so that is what's to be expected. If you are on YouTube, folks, please go ahead and give us a thumbs up. If you are on Facebook, give us that like. Twitch, give us that like. If you're on Twitter, remember to follow us. Follow Egberto Willies on Twitter. That's my handle, Egberto Willies, EGBERTO. You can also follow us on YouTube. That's youtube.com/Egberto Willies. Remember to join us, be a part of our posse. Anyhow, folks, continuing the program. What are we going to talk about today? We got a lot to talk about today. Let me put it up on the screen. Remember, you guys are responsible for us being able in Washington, D.C. to operate almost as efficiency, not as efficient, but almost as efficient as we did in Houston. And to that, we thank you so kindly. There is the program for today. So what is the program about today? Title of the show, Workers in Control Don't Fall for the Wage Inflation Crap. Democrats must spine up and punish the coup. And that is actually where I'm going to start when I get started. Democrats must punish the coup. Absolutamente sí. When Democrats held hostage by their own, pundits slaughter them like this over their bills. I have a video that I did from Chuck Todd that's going to show, and I'm going to give the narrative that shows how we allow this to occur. A Republican pundit calls wage increases inflationary. I have a little statement to make about that. Is that really true? Look, I want, right now, the prices of food's going up. Right now, the prices of oil's going up. All these things are going up. I have a question for you. Are people eating that much more? Is there that much a shortage of oil? The answers to these questions are no. You are being snowed. It's not like we're paying the farmers that are, the migrant farmers that are coming to pick our fruits and all of that any more money. Are we doing that? No. Are these prices justified? It's a cover. Is there more demand? Yes. But was there supply to meet the demand? Absolutely. Is there a supply problem, a supply chain problem? Yes. Will that cause temporary shortages? Yes. Is that a reason for prices to increase? No, because when those things flood the market, when they are finally unloaded from the ships, the prices would mitigate. But here is another kicker that everybody needs to understand from these stories you're hearing online, right? This is the private sector screwing up. Understand this. This is they always talk about government don't do this right and government don't do that right. This is the private sector screwing up. They refuse. There are two things you have to look about. When it comes to inventory, why they can't make cars fast enough, or why they have to shut down lines of cars being made because the inventory is sitting on a ship in the middle of the ocean, or because in Taiwan they have a shortage of making the products because there's a resurgence of COVID or whatever. That's true. But why is it a problem? Because we've changed the way we handle inventory. There's this stuff called JIT, J-I-T, just-in-time inventory, JITI, okay? We decided that we wanted to make all this profit and we didn't want to pay any taxes and all these types of issues. So what do? We go ahead and have just-in-time inventory, and it works great, and the rich people get even richer because they don't have to store inventory, they don't have to buy oversupplies or anything like that. But what it also means is in times of disruption of your supply chain, that you get exactly what we have now. Whose fault is that? It's not government. They're trying to make that a Biden thing or a president thing. It is a failure of the private sector, concentrating solely on profits and maximization of bonuses for the top folk, and you are just collateral damage. Just like we were once called in Panama collateral damage when they attacked the city to get Manuel Antonio Noriega because he didn't want to go invade Nicaragua and the Sandinistas and all of that. Remember that. So I want to start dispelling the notion that all these great inflationary pressures are really should really be. I want to tell you, we are all being conned. And if you doubt it, look at the stock market, look at the profits being made. Profits are inflationary, aren't they? Because profits are your excess labor and the excess amount charged for products being sold. So please, people, understand that when they start talking about inflation now, they're just talking about legally ripping you off because they have pricing power, whatever the market can bear. And if we don't get that and we fall for the crap, and then we allow all these progressives to lose and bring some Republicans in who are simply going to continue the status quo as far as making sure the corporatocracy owns everything, makes all the money, and continue to screw you and continue to maintain you into indentured servitude or antiseptic slavery, then that would be, in fact, our fault. All right, Bruce says, when did you General Paul manage that invasion? Yes. B.D. Paul are quintessential sillier but woke up to his roots. Yeah, quintessential soldier that woke up to his roots and the party that could help. Thank you. You get that right, Bruce. That is absolutely correct. Folks, if you are on YouTube, please remember to go ahead and give us a thumbs up. And if you're so kind to do so, join our posse as well. All right, let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to start with the traitors. Okay, why am I going to start with the traitors? Because what I want to show is, Democrats, you need to spine up. And even a ex-Republican is telling you, hey guys, you need to do this now. We need you to do this. Okay, check this out. This Republican pundit has a prescient message for Democrats, and I think they should heed it. Let's listen to it, and then we'll take it on the other side.
I remember where I was when I read your thread about the 1-6 committee, to wit, and I quote, "I have some bad news," wrote Rick. "After multiple calls, I have some extremely grim news. As of now, the 1-6 commission is dead already and will not enforce the subpoenas Trump wins. The 1-6 terror plot will go unexamined and unpunished. To say I'm livid is putting it mildly. This is staffed wrong, led wrong, and a gutless exercise to get back to talking about infrastructure. They're not taking the risk seriously. They're not taking the data before them seriously, and they're eager to run out the clock. Livid." So, Rick, I don't need to tell you that as soon as that went up, heads exploded, hair caught fire simultaneously, toilets started flushing counterclockwise, the Giants had a winning season. I'm just kidding about that last one. In real life,
of course,
Liz Cheney put out a statement. The committee put out a statement. So, as they say in dental school, you hit a nerve. Have you been dissuaded at all from what you wrote, or do you stand by it still?
I'm not going to be. Well, let's say this. I believe their intentions are not bad. I believe that my statement was correct. I don't believe that they're pursuing this with the degree of vigor that merits the type of targets they're talking about. We're dealing with people like Steve Bannon and Roger Stone and Ali Alexander and all these people that were the spectrum of people on Stop the Steal. We are not at this point hearing from the committee that they're meeting regularly. They've had 3 months. They've done almost nothing. And the fact that they've got a few witnesses who are grudgingly going to kind of sort of think about sitting down with them is nothing until we hold to account people who are defying them. Unless you put Steve Bannon in the hot seat, unless you put Steve Bannon in an orange jumpsuit, strip him of his polos, put him in an orange jumpsuit and zip ties, this guy is going to run rampant. He's out the other night essentially telling his followers that Trump will be reinstated. He is one of the architects and masterminds of an insurgency in this country that needs a response more than the kind of traditional Washington, let's go slow, let's take it incrementally. This requires a set of responses and policies from Congress. I mean, they're already basically saying we're going to wait until Thanksgiving to have a vote on the House floor about referring Steve Bannon to the Justice Department. This man does damage every second he walks around in this country, and they need to pick up the pace. I want them to prove me wrong, Brian. I want them to say, hey, that Wilson was just paranoid. The people that were talking to him, they're just, they're exaggerating. But I'm not wrong. They will slow roll this thing. And Bannon and company believe, and Trump's people all believe, they can run out the clock. They can play this out until the very last dog dies, and then they won't have any accountability. Democrats must treat this as it should be treated, which is a counterterrorism investigation. They got to take this seriously. If these guys were in Al-Qaeda, they'd be having JDAMs dropped on their heads. These people were intent on overthrowing our government. You have to treat it that way. It wasn't a tourist visit.
So, Rick, I know you've spent a long time, you've written about this, you've thought about this. What is the problem? Is it that, as I like to contend, the Democrats tend to be culturally former student council presidents, and the Republicans of this era are stone cold killers?
There's a word that we can't use on polite television, but it rhymes with rat trucking. And they won't do it. They won't play the game. They won't get in here and use knives. They bring a copy of Proust to a gunfight. These people that they are running up against, like Bannon, they will put them against a wall. What they don't seem to have internalized is that people like Steve Bannon help to architect the attack on the Capitol that, by the grace of God, did not end up with congressmen being dragged from their offices and killed. Because if they'd found Nancy Pelosi, or if they'd found, frankly, even Liz Cheney, they would have killed them. You have to take this seriously. These are not people that are the old Washington. This isn't the old days of Ronald Reagan and Tip O'Neill sharing a beer. That is dead. It is gone. The Republican Party right now is a sole source operation dedicated to Donald Trump and Donald Trump only. Whatever electoral fantasies he has that can be translated into whatever direct action that Steve Bannon and those people come up with will be executed on. They should not think for a minute that this is over. As I like to say, an unpunished coup is a training exercise.
An unpunished coup is a training exercise. So true. Look, folks, it is true that Democrats need to get with the program. You know what these people understand? They are paper tigers. When they feel that nobody's going to push back, they have all the power, they have all the strength, and they talk big and they do all these things. You give some pushback, watch how they fiddle. We have to be strong and stop being that way about, well, things are going to work out. No, things are not going to work out. These guys are criminals and they should be treated as such. Steve Bannon, all these guys need to be locked up. And I don't mean just locked up in theory. I mean, we really need to go after them, and we should be going after them day after day after day and calling them the criminally terroristical people that they are. They're insurrectionists, they're terrorists, they are traitors. That's who they are, and they must be called out every single day, and make sure that anyone associated with them is called out with the same nomenclature. Absolutely so. Absolutely so. Hey, folks, let me tell you something. First of all, welcome aboard. Let's see. We got Yvette Avery, Herod, Nanette Bird Smith, Bruce Pollard. We've got Eric Hayes, May Wood, E2247. Let's see who else we got here. I think I got all so far that's placed something in the chat. Maywood says hello from Long Beach, California. E2247 says Cheney hated Powell, so no surprise, nativist trash Powell. Let's see, we got Maywood who says, replying to Yvette Avery Herod, Yvette Avery, good morning. Eric Hayes says, guess it's okay to treat our career military people like dirt because they show things. No, you treat them like dirt if they deserve to be treated like dirt. This guy went ahead and did the unprofessional thing, and that's the reason why he's pleading to 6 points of what? Guilty. Because he understood if he doesn't plead guilty, when you apply what he did compared to the rules that he must follow as an officer, he is what again? Guilty. He did the wrong thing, and first of all, he came onto bad premises. Again, if you're informed by the right, you make stupid decisions, just like he did. Just like the people who are unvaccinated or dying left and right, they listen to the right, they make stupid decisions. You can still be a conservative and listen to the right and just make good decisions. Come on, Eric, you went and took the vaccine. You are somebody on the right, but you didn't make a stupid decision. You actually did something to support your family, to make sure you didn't kill them. Like so many right-wingers are getting their families killed. So let's be frank here. Maywood says, well, no, not May. Eric Hayes, that is terrifically difficult question, plus genuinely important one. It is okay to lose parental rights over mandates? Yes, it is okay, because a kid does not have the wherewithal to protect themselves. Just like we protect kids from other things, we should protect these kids as well. So therefore, if you are putting your kids' lives in danger, yes, just like if you have an abusive husband or abusive wife who beat up on the kids, we take the kids away. If you are not protecting your kids, I'm sorry, we care more about humanity than we care about the fallacies that you believe in. Absolutely so. Let's see what else we got here. Thinking man, you sound like Stalin. I'm not Stalin at all. The people who want to do as they please are the ones that are like Stalin, right? They want to stop a woman's rights. They want to stop all these things. They want to say what you can teach in school and not. Who is Stalin again? You can't teach about race in school. You have to, if you're going to teach about the Holocaust, you have to teach about those crazy people who believe the Holocaust didn't happen. Who's Stalin again? Let's get it right, people. Let's get it right. And Eric, I am not wrong. He pleaded guilty 6 times. Why did he plead guilty 6 times? Because the damn guy is guilty. All right, let's continue here. Agree with Maywood. Depends on the context. Deep culture is questioned here. Eric Hayes says, guess trading Bird Dog was a smart choice. Right trading for terrorists. Eric Hayes, you want to reject 5-year-olds? Wow, that is just plain wrong. I want to inject 5-year-olds. I want to inject all those who we know will benefit from not dying from getting the disease or from going to their grandparents and infecting them and killing them. That's what I want to do. I care too much about humanity to worry about how you accept the right-wing spin for a rather what would I call it, murderous point of view. And what the right wing is doing is tantamount to voluntary manslaughter, if simply not just outright accomplice to murder. That is what the right is doing, accomplice to murder or voluntary manslaughter. No ifs, no buts. That is what they're guilty of. Let's see. Continuing, let's continue here. Para ver. I have another video to show you guys. This one is another important video. This one is about, well, I'll just go ahead and play it, and then we'll take it on the other side. Let's go ahead and do that right now. Sometimes listening to the punditry whenever it comes to Democrats drive you crazy. The Democrats are attempting to do something for people. Yes, we have two stragglers that are really hurting the performance, hurting what we're trying to accomplish. But ultimately, these fights are because Democrats are trying to do, progressive specifically, what's good for the American people. I never hear pundits hit Republicans whenever they're going through their inter-party type of issues as hard as these guys did. But you know what? It's good to understand what they're saying now so that when these bills are passed, we know what we have to counteract, what we have to defend against, the type of messaging that not Democrats are putting out, but that the media is putting out. Check this out, and then let's go ahead and take it on the other side.
What is the mindset of Democrats on Capitol Hill? Do they see the forest right now through these trees of obstruction, if you will?
I think they do. I mean, Democrats promised the world to their voters coming into that last election cycle, and now they're trying to figure out what they can still deliver on. They've left some priorities by the wayside. The guns bill, the voting rights bill that'll get a vote this week that they don't think are going to pass. But all the marbles are on these two big spending bills right now, and they're just pretty well stuck. Now, I think everyone understands that reconciliation bill is probably too big to fail. They will all survive or fail, and if they don't pass that big bill in some capacity, probably everybody's going home.
Here's what Politico wrote yesterday. Here's the cold reality, they write. It now appears all but impossible for Democrats to enact a reconciliation package that's anywhere near as far-reaching as what polls suggest a large majority of Democratic voters want, and that effectively means that for a lot of Dems, it will be hard to see whatever ends up coming out of this process as a success with potentially dire implications for the party in 2022.
See, I think the challenge really goes back more to what Garrett is saying, is that I don't know that Democratic voters are particularly excited about Build Back Better or an infrastructure bill.
Don't you see all the individual polling that they tell you this? I'm sorry, I just makes me nuts.
I know it.
Just because something polls well doesn't mean
that it's salient. It's not salient.
Yes.
What is salient, and I've been sitting in these focus groups, especially with younger African-American voters, you know what they're talking about? Exactly what Garrett said, which is, where's the police reform? We talked about that a lot in 2020. Mm-hmm. Voting rights, this is an existential threat to our country, and what, we can't pass it? You're in charge, Democrats. It's you have a chance to do this. And so I think they're sort of missing out on the things that do really energize Democrats.
Kimberly, how demoralized do you think the Democratic base could get if this gets fraught?
Oh, I think it is very existential at this moment for all the reasons that Amy was talking about it. I don't think it's just a matter that the Democrats promised the world to their voters. It's the voters demanded these things from Democrats. And now they're saying, okay, well, you have the White House, you have Congress, and after the end of 2 years, we have nothing. I think that will be absolutely devastating to the Democratic base if they walk away without, not just with nothing, but without voting rights, particularly, without anything, without making sure everyone has health care, the expansion of Medicaid. I mean, if they walk away with nothing, they can expect, as you said, to pack up.
Here's what Charlie wrote. Democrats push for way too much without having the political capital to make it stick. It's killing them on overreach. It's killing them on competence. If misreading a mandate is a sin in politics, pretending that you have one when you don't is a mortal sin. Is that the issue?
In March, John Meacham convened a bunch of historians at the White House who said to Biden, you can be FDR, you can be LBJ. Lyndon Baines Johnson won election in 1964 with a 155-seat majority in the House and 155-seat majority and 69.
Is that more than 5?
And 69 Democratic senators. And in 1965, they passed 70 major pieces of legislation. Joe Biden has a majority of, and a 50-50 Senate, only a 50-50 Senate, because of bizarre machinations by Trump in November and December that depressed the Republican vote. Democrats went nuts in the winter. They went crazy. They're proposing, they were at the point of having $8 trillion of new spending with no consensus. Forget the Democratic base. Like, there was no mandate to do any of this from the American people writ large.
But they're locked in structurally, right? I mean, you can't do voting rights with a 50-vote threshold. You can't pass a guns bill with a 50-vote threshold. You can spend money with the 50-vote threshold. Right. And you have to say the price tag first. That's the way reconciliation works. And so they lock themselves into this messaging nightmare by saying, okay, we have to set the price tag and then tell you all the good stuff it's going to do. And that's not right. And then take it all out. Right. That's not a way you build a coalition around anything, but it's what they were forced into doing.
And they had a coalition for a bill. They have a huge spending bill, $1 trillion infrastructure bill. That's a big bill.
I'm not sure $1 trillion spending package would satisfy the people who spent the pandemic marching in the streets for real social justice reform. So I don't think that would solve all their problems either. And I do think that the American people and Senator Manchin should realize that West Virginians make up 1/2% of the American population.
But the West Virginians who voted Joe Manchin in voted almost 40% for Trump. Trump's margin was 40 points in 2020 in West Virginia.
He is more important, I think, to turning out the Democratic base than whether a bill passes Congress. Yes.
And that is, I think, potentially a long-term problem for the Democrats. They can't keep going back to the Trump well.
Unless Donald Trump keeps running.
Unless Donald Trump keeps running. But, I mean, this analysis by these guys were so flawed. First of all, I like when the Republican pundit said, the Democrats went bat, you know what, crazy. They didn't have a mandate. They do have a mandate. It is funny. I pick your pocket. After I pick your pocket, I say, can I give you some back? The states are gerrymandered. It's an undemocratic society, which means that rural areas and places with little population, because of the way things are structured, they have a overpowerment of, they have more power in Congress than they deserve. So when this guy comes out and he says they don't have a mandate, he's talking crap. There is a mandate. Ask about all the policies in Build Back Better, and Americans want them. 63% and above, they want them. That is a mandate. Why doesn't the people in Congress reflect that? The amount of votes in Congress reflect that? Because the system is rigged. So when you say Biden doesn't have a mandate, Biden has a mandate from the people to effect these policies. He may not have a mandate from the politicians to effect these policies, and that is why he has to try all kinds of techniques to get it. So that Republican guy who's talking about the Democrats are overreaching, that's crap. And some of the other pundits sort of implied that as well. There is no overreach here. This is what the American people want. We have to find a way to force these particular politicians to do the same. And when they talk about, oh, Americans not really all that interested in Build Back Better, they're more interested in police reform. They're more interested in voter rights. We're definitely interested in voter rights, but you know what? We know voter rights, voter rights we can get around. And the people that don't vote right now are not thinking about voter rights. The people that vote now think about voter rights, and they will find a way to vote. Now, the other item is when it comes to police reform. if you are a person of color, you're not, you want police reform, but it's not the stopper, because that's going to take a hell of a lot of time. It's going to take a whole lot of old policemen dying and new people coming in before we really get a change. But you know what comes right away? Build Back Better. That check for your children comes right away. That aid to help you put your kids in a daycare center so that you can go to work, that is immediate. And that is what they feel. And if they know that is there, and if these pundits would stop talking about not having a mandate and start talking about what is in the bill, Democrats come on and tell you what's in the bill, and they ask you, oh, so what? How can you get reconciliation passed? It is not the problem. It's not the fault of the Democrats that a whole lot of people are ill-informed or feeling sort of awe about this system. It's a horrendous media that is elitist in what they pick. Just watching them not know what really people want proves that point. Exactly right. Hey, welcome aboard. Let's see. We got some newcomers. Tom C. says, here in mid-Michigan, Republicans trying to suppress the vote over Governor Whitmer's veto. COVID cases spiking among unvaccinated. Here we go again. The silliness doesn't stop. The silliness doesn't stop. These people, they are allowing ideology to kill them. You know, at first I said, because I'm a humane person, we are humane, we feel for them. But at some point we have to say survival of the fittest. If they don't want to take the vaccine, stay away from them, let them get infected. Enough of them would die to change the election in certain precincts, and just maybe better people get elected who won't cause many of them to die, because they'll educate them from of their silly thought process that allows them to choose getting sick, choose dying, choose hurting and maiming people, choose increasing the cost of healthcare because of some ideological buffoonery. That's what we have to say. I hate to get to the point where I'm speaking this way, but at some point one has to say, come on, guys, you're killing us all. You are the ones responsible for the economy. You are the ones responsible for the state of the system. It's you who are causing the problem. Punto y final. Peggy Lopez, welcome aboard. Welcome aboard, Peggy Lopez. Rose Williams, hi everyone, she says. Let's see. Peggy Lopez says, hi all, my usual time of arrival. Glad you are all here. Bruce says, not a democracy, but one governed by representatives who want to keep their jobs and get rich. True. Let's see. Eric says, listen to how you talk. Mandates, enforcing, etc. That sounds like a free society. Well, I mean, can you drive without a license? Can you drive without having insurance? Can you go ahead and just go into a store and not pay for what you buy? Society means, and this is what a lot of Republicans claim they don't believe in, but still they want to control a woman's womb. They want to control what you learn in school. They want to control all these things. But when you are giving them pragmatic solutions to problem, oh, you're trying to control me. No, you are just being those people who believe the things that cause you to die are evil. And those people who accept it are gullible. If you're seeing your brethren die because of infection and then you see blue states people are living just fine, shouldn't it register in your mind that, after all, you were wrong? And should your humane nature in you come and tell you, just maybe, for the sake of my children, for the sake of my society, I should do better? As society means giving up some of your freedoms for the betterment of us all. That's a society. That's why we pay taxes. That's why we do these things. Yes, society means giving up some of your freedoms so that we will all be freer. It sounds like an oxymoron, but it is the case. All right, let's see. Matthew Schultz says, I absolutely agree with Egberto. Muchísimas gracias, Matthew Schultz. Maywood, still, let's see what else we got here. Para ver. I have one more video to show, but beforehand, I need to make my ask. Please, folks, if you are with us, please go ahead and consider joining our PDR posse by going to, if you're on YouTube, just click that link that says join. If you are on YouTube, just click that link that says join. If you're not on YouTube, the link that I'm placing here, politicsdoneright.com/YouTube, politicsdoneright.com/YouTube is how you can become a part of our PDR posse. Help us get this message spread. Alternatively, you can become a part of our Patreon. We need 1,000 YouTube and 1,000 Patreon. So alternatively, go to politicsdoneright.com/Patreon, politicsdoneright.com/Patreon. Now, you can also support us via PayPal, politicsdoneright.com/PayPal, politicsdoneright.com/PayPal. You can either do it monthly or just for one time saying we want to help you continue to put this message out. And of course, you can get our books, all those books that you see constantly scrolling on the screen. You can get those at Amazon, politicsdoneright.com/books, politicsdoneright.com/books. And you can get t-shirts and hoodies and all that good stuff to support us at politicsdoneright.com/store. Everything that you do, help us get the message out. A lot of times the message that you hear from us isn't quite what you're going to hear solely on mainstream media. What you see me do a lot of times is I take the clips from mainstream media and add context to it, because again, if we don't, what people absorb is what they see at the mainstream media. That's what they get. Okay? Now what we want to do is interpret and everything that we say, by the way, you can actually validate elsewhere. You don't have to just say, I am going to take Egberto's word for it. You do not have to do that. Everything that we say, I ask you, if you don't want to take my word, please go ahead and look it up. It's not very hard to find, because I make sure and I only tell the truth. I only tell the truth. And whenever I slip and make a mistake, I am the first one to cop for my mistake. And by the way, folks, you can also, if you want to find out all the different manners in which you can support this program that's out there to tell the truth, give context to the conversation, please go to politicsdoneright.com/support, politicsdoneright.com/support. We simply cannot do it without you helping fund this venture. That is how we are going to continue to be able to bring more people in. Our podcast over the last several days have really taken off. A lot of people are starting to listen. We want to also enhance our live viewership. Easier said than done, especially since we've changed from 3 to noon. And when my daughter gets out of rehab, based on how I have to interact with caring for her, the time may change. Again, I hate doing that, but must take care of my kid who just had her second stroke. But 3 months before graduating out of med school. Think about that. You never know what life have in store, but the good thing about it is I got me a strong, strong daughter who is out there fighting to recover, who will recover. Folks, if you are on YouTube, give us that thumbs up. We need that thumbs up. Give us that thumbs up to make sure that the algorithm takes us. If you are on Facebook, give us that like. If you are on Twitch, give us that like as well. If you are on Twitter, give us that follow by just going to follow Egberto Willis. My handle is Egberto Willis. Puffin says, let's start a cryptocurrency of broken delusions. Never quite heard it that way, Brother Puffin. Welcome aboard, Puffin, for being here. Peggy Lopez says, corporate right-wing media is paid for helping delusional people connected to their delusions. Very unhealthy relationship. And you know, they know it. It's funny. Fox News telling all these people, don't lose your freedom, don't get vaccinated, and they don't have the right to force you to get a vaccine. And here's the truth. You cannot get into the Fox News building if you're not vaccinated or willing to submit to a constancy of COVID tests. So what do people do? They get vaccinated at Fox News. They tell you you cannot come into this place unvaccinated or tested for having been vaccinated. Think about that. But somehow they go out and tell people, oh, it's a crime to force people to get vaccinated. Let's see. Matthew Schultz says, I see you got a lot of right-wing talking points here on this stream. Yeah, we have a lot of people that are, and by the way, I like that. Brother Schultz, Matthew Schultz, and let me tell you why. If I'm only talking to people like you who are straight thinking, who understands how things are, I am not doing my job. My job is a humane job where I have to speak to everybody, not just the people that agree with me, but those who disagree with me. I have to do it with a modicum of respect to try to get them to see the light as we see it, which in our case, we are absolutely correct. There's no two ways about it. You know, you can say, if you drop in our physical dimension, if you drop a ball, if you're holding your hands up, let me do this hand. If you're holding your hands up and you drop a ball, that ball will fall to the ground. In our dimension, that's how gravity works. So that's not maybe if black or white, it is one answer. When it comes to certain things in society, there is one answer. There are gray areas, don't get me wrong. There are policies, whether you want big government or small government, that's a gray area. You can say, I want small government. If you want small government, what you want is you're saying, I want to be more individualistic. If I get hurt, I don't mind just dying. Those are the things that you are a cop into for a small government. If you like right-sized government, you say, well, if I get sick and I cannot work, society is there to give me a helping hand. That is humane. That's why you create society. It's humane. No, again, it's funny. Ayn Rand, who pushed this individualistic thing, who pushed this stand on your own thing, when she got old and she got sick, guess what she went on? Social Security. But she didn't believe in it. But when she was in need, she believed in it then. Matthew says, so sad to hear about your daughter, but she has grit. My daughter is a powerful woman, and she will be back, just like she came back after the first stroke. But again, they are both related. So, I mean, I don't want anybody to think that this is like a thing that just happens. It's all related. Puffin also says, it's not artificial intelligence to worry about the artificial stupidity. Putin's robot sub and Trump troll bots. Funny. We also have Ledo says, LOL, your job, Egberto, is daily propaganda for the Marxists. I don't even know if you understand Marxism. I don't even know if I'd started to discuss things to you like excess labor, if you would understand it, brother Daniel Ledo. You know, if you understood slavery as it really is, if you understood thievery as it really is, you would understand that our economic system is based on legal thievery, which is nothing more than an antiseptic form of slavery. And there are ways to mitigate that. Our tax system can be a mitigating factor for the improper extraction of our resources, the improper extraction of our intellect, the improper extraction of our service. But you are taught to believe that, you see, the way the system works is we had to first tell you government is bad. So you associate government with bad. Then we had to tell you somehow the private sector is inherently superior to the government. And I don't know why people somehow believe that fallacy that the private sector is better than the government. And here's the thing that they never correlate. The government is made up of private citizens who work for the government and do certain jobs. The private sector is made up of the same people who go work in the private sector. You just have different leaders. In the government, you have a particular set of leaders. In the private sector, you have a particular set of leaders. In the private sector, the leaders say, I need to work you as hard as possible so that I can make as much money as possible without doing too much work. In other words, I am going to pay you less than you produce so that I can take that excess labor and use it for myself. When a person buys a stock, when a person buys a stock, they are buying a piece of a company that somebody else works for, and they simply get a piece of that work that somebody does. Antiseptic slavery. Because you're sitting at your pool with a piece of stock, doing nothing, as that person who is working for you. Now, it wouldn't be bad if we allowed a system, a good system of recovery to recirculate all of that back into the economy so that we all feel not equal but equitable based on our performance. And we have to remove what capital means. In other words, why is it that if you have capital, you have the right to enslave? These are concepts that Nobody is going to teach you in school because we have to keep Americans indoctrinated into believing this economic system is best for us all when it is only best for a certain percentage. First, the people who are on top, the guardians of the gate, and we have gradations of this system. It's not at all difficult to understand, but you have to first open your mind to disassociate it from the indoctrination that we've gone through over the decades. Peggy Lopez says, Egberto Willis, I take my balloons into rehab and assisted living places here. I cannot take my balloons to Ashley. I crocheted a balloon dog that does not poop. I have one for Ashley and need an address. Okay, I'll send you Ashley's address. Thank you so kindly, my beautiful Peggy Lopez. I'll send you Ashley's address. Let's see. Puffin says Facebook will freeze leftist streams. Please refresh and share on. Exactly. And that's the problem that we have. And when I ask people, please go ahead and share, that's the reason why we have to do it manually, because they do freeze a lot of what we have to say. No, me so stupid. I don't understand Marxism. You don't. You're not stupid. You're just ignorant. And there's a difference. Ignorant is not something that is inherent. Ignorant is something that can be solved. Stupid isn't. Okay? So remember that. Rose Williams, if people focus on whether government should be big or small, they're asking the wrong question. The government does many things better than the private sector. Private sector does many things better than public sector. The correct equation is simple. Exactly right, Rose. I completely agree with that. Okay. Peggy Lopez says, lefty Marxist taught me Pinochet and Marxism played a card game. His wife ran a lap at the 1938 Olympic Games to oppose some right-wing atrocity. What great people they were. Yes, Marxism, ancient history. Please get a new century to disagree. Rose Williams, right now, if you have capital, you have the power to, oh, you know what, guys? The last video I'll have to show tomorrow. I didn't realize I was doing so much talking because you guys are giving me so much material. So we'll do the last video tomorrow, and I think you're going to like the last video, but it's too long to play it right now. Para ver qué más tengo. Rose says, right now, if you have capital, you have the power to bribe our representatives. That should never be allowed. And what I'm saying is, that's true, Rose. But you know what capital can't do? Capital can't control your mind. So when we know that a particular representative is representing the capital state as opposed to our social state, what we do is if we can get the message out, we can vote them out of office. That's what we're saying. The private sector still, the citizens still have that right to vote. We just can't have them indoctrinated like we have Daniel Ledo indoctrinated, like we have Eric Hayes indoctrinated into the belief that somehow this system protects them, because the system is screwing them as well. That's why I love them to be here, because even if they disagree and fight what we have to say, there are seeds that are going to be planted that something is going to trigger it at some point in time. Rose Williams says, right now, if you I read that already. Matthew Schultz says, anytime you say socialism, Marxism, even social democracy, the Republicans default to Stalin, Mao, Kim Jong-un, and go back. It's ignorance. Yes, it's ignorance. That's ignorance. C is awesome. I love China and I love communism, and Trumpers are just 100% wrong. Sorry. I know what you're trying to do there, Puffin. Maywood says, replying to Daniel Ledo, Daniel, why is it that the truth and anything that is good for the people, society, and the country instead of corporations, Marxist propaganda? Exactly. Socialism is okay too, I guess. Rose Williams says, our society has systematically misinformed about Marxism and or socialism. Absolutely so. You know, the thing about it is, anytime you talk about the people, they always bring in socialism, and then the people buy it as if it is some sort of evil, right? Because they say, oh, socialism is bad. And they're saying, wait a minute. I always talk about this. I always say, when private sector doing certain things, like in healthcare, they have to make a profit. So what is very important to them? Deny you services, right? For the insurance companies, that's how they increase their profits. For the hospitals and so forth, it's to give you as much service as possible, because they want to collect, even if it means giving you drugs you don't need. And then there's the pharmaceuticals. They take our intellect. We created the products. They finish it up, market it, and then they rip us off a second time. And, these are things that are verifiable, and that so many people don't try to verify it themselves and figure out that we are constantly screwed. It's amazing to me. Sisk Cat, welcome aboard, Sisk Cat. Let's see what else we have. We have, Puffin says we can even repurpose trolls. Just let them know Putin will lose the rest. Peggy Lopez says capital cam purchase marketing, and through this process manipulate the minds of Americans. And that's why we have Politics Done Right, to unmanipulate the minds of Americans. That's what we try. Rose says you can't conflate a ruling system with an economic system. You can choose these separately. Exactly. China is a communist system that's a capitalist system. It's capitalist and it's communist. All together. The capitalist is the economic system. The communist is the political system. And that's what we have in China. Capitalism does not need democracy. In fact, even our capitalism is not democratic. Our capitalism is not democratic at all. In fact, our country is not democratic. That you have 50 senators, or rather 2 senators for every state, that alone blows it. Matthew Short says socialism used to be very popular in our country, actually. Robison, Eugene Debs, Helen Keller, so they slapped Debs with the first Espionage Act prison sentence. Yeah, again, you have to do that. That's how they maintain their reality. Folks, again, let's see, we're coming close to the end. We have about 3 more minutes that I can talk to you. E2247 says some folks are in the allergy to facts because they did not get their baby shot. So sad. Yes, truth, says Slow Kiss. Jane Adas lies. All right, folks, any more statements before we close this baby out? Any more statements? Folks, if you are on YouTube, give us that thumbs up. Give us that thumbs up. Allow us to get this algorithm going. If you are on Facebook, go ahead and click that like button. If you are elsewhere, just give us a hand to make sure we get these numbers up. That is how we do it. That is how we do it. Any more messages? Come on, I'm waiting for about 4 more messages. Throw them in there, whatever you have to say, so that I can get it on air for you. And not only on air, but everybody on our podcast system will see it. And like I said, the podcasts have been really taken off. That is, of course, not live, but they've been really taken off. I went ahead and looked at Anchor today, and it's like, wow, straight up. Straight up, straight up. By the way, if you want to see where we have our podcast, let me go ahead and put that link in there for you guys, because you can subscribe to the podcast there. And in fact, you can even support us at the podcast. Let me go ahead and give you the site where we have all our podcasts right now. Check it out right there at anchor.fm/politics done right. And of course, all our clips are at anchor.fm/Egberto Willis, I believe. Let me do that. Anchor.fm/ I think it's at, is it Egberto Willis or Egberto on the Run? I think it's Egberto. Well, I got to figure that one out first. Okay, let's see what else we got. Maywood says China isn't real a communist country or government. It's totalitarian. True. E2247, see my Kindle picture book. Stay the F at home. A baby book from within. Cool. Let's see. June Litter says, be kind, be patient, tell the truth. Thank you, June. Matthew says, give them hell, EW. Rose Williams says, give Ashley all our love. I will make sure to give Ashley all our love. Fling, typo, Jane Addams lives, I hear you. Facebook are the main manipulators. Arrest Zuckerberg and nationalize Facebook, but let B-Tech country from run their own. That's funny. Hi, Coop, 333. You're late. Welcome aboard. Love you still. We had a good show today. We only got 2 videos out because you guys keep me on my toes by typing very intelligent messages, even the ones coming from the right, giving us the opportunity to further assist others. I thank you so kindly all for being here. Last ask. Please, if you are on YouTube, give us that thumbs up on YouTube. Also, please consider clicking that join button. We need a lot of subscribers. I really must tell you that. We do this with the expectation that those who find value in this will support us. So please go ahead and click that join button on YouTube. If you're not on YouTube, like if you're on Facebook or any other place, you can still join the YouTube posse, the Politics Done Right posse, by going to politicsdoneright.com/YouTube. You can join our Patreon, another way of supporting us. We need 1,000 of each of those, really. But, you know, we are far away from that, but we're giving ourselves a few months, couple of years to get to where we need to get to before we actually completely run out of funds entirely. Go to politicsdoneright.com/Patreon, politicsdoneright.com/Patreon. Alternatively, you can also provide us support at PayPal, politicsdoneright.com/PayPal. We do need your support. You can also support us at by buying our books. We have the books, I promise you, you get the 3 books, you will be able to, you can get 1, 2, 3, but if you get all 3 books, I guarantee you'll be completely rounded in our economic system. You're completely rounded in how to address other folks on the other side, and also you'll completely be able to figure out how can we make America a utopia for us all. So please go ahead. Thumbs up, folks. Give us a thumbs up. And again, there is one other way to support us. All our support links can be found in politicsdoneright.com/support. And of course, I have not closed down our GoFundMe for Washington, D.C. I'm still if you still want to contribute to our GoFundMe, we got the computers, we got the lighting, etc. As you can see, but it's still a very expensive proposition. So whatever you can do to make sure we can continue to be as good as we are, we will. Let's see what else I got here. The richest 14 billionaires have more wealth than the other 50% of people. PBS, imagine that. And that's the truth. That's the truth. Puffin says on Spotify, Fox, and Live from the future. And by the way, we're on Spotify, we are on Apple, Google, all our podcasts are in every single one of those domains. So consider checking it out as well. Put it to your thing. Tell your friends if they don't want to see the videos, they can get the podcast as well. And that is how we do it. You know what I should do? I should actually go ahead and... Okay, we need to close this baby. What time is it? 59? We need to close this baby down. Look, folks, I thank you for being here. I know you could be anywhere. That you are here with me gives me honor. I'm honored that you are here with us. I'm going to rebuild it with a hammer. There you go. That you're here with us, I thank you so kindly. We will continue to work very hard to tell the truth. We'll continue to work very hard to give context to the news. We'll continue to do what I consider a lifelong task, a lifelong mission. So thank you for your support. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you know how I end this baby. I am what? Out! Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.